Supernatural Season 13, Episode 3, Patience. This was a pretty good episode. They just went, like, especially at the end of the episode, they went, like, super hardcore with Dean and his, like, near depression at this point, which I mentioned in the premiere. I totally get it. Like, he's almost meaner than he ever is about, like, whatever evil is out there, but now it's like the evil is trapped with them, and it's, as usual, the most powerful thing they've ever dealt with, and it's just like this being how he normally is, stacked on top of the fact that a lot of people, were lost in the finale, and then this episode certainly doesn't help, where we get an insane callback. I mean, Missouri, like, they even say it where it's like, oh, it's been like a decade. She has not been in this show since, I'm pretty sure it was the very first season is when she was helping them because she was trying to help them find their dad. And it's just like, whoa, that was insane. I knew I recognized it, but I was like, there's no way I could. I suck at names from, like, the last season, and there was no way I was going to remember her name. But that was a really good callback. It sucked that they brought her back, like 12 years later, and then it's like, that's an insane callback to the beginning of the series, and now she's dead. So that really sucked. But, she was in there. Jodie got to meet her. I don't know why, but for some reason that matters, because you have, like, this character who's in, like, the beginning of the series. But that was a really cool moment to have her come back, even if it was just this episode and then they killed her. But they do seem to be somewhat hinting towards the fact that her granddaughter Patience is also psychic. And Jodie doing, like, her mother hen thing at the very end was actually pretty awesome, where throughout the episode she was kind of like the middle ground for what was going on with this character, where you have Missouri was like, you have this, this power, this ability, and then her father, James, who was like, after his wife died and his mother was wrong, he kind of abandoned his mother. And during that moment, when he was explaining that story, and he was like, so you just cut your mom out of your life, Jodie was kind of there like, kind of back off, let's, there are levels to stuff. Granted, Dean and Sam have a certain affinity towards mothers because of what they went through, especially what they just went through. I think about it two times over. But it's like, different people's lives, different situations, and that sucks. Like, you think your mother is psychic, and that, like, everything's gonna be fine. You're just like, cool, and then she dies, and it's like, yeah, you might be super pissed, and you place all this faith in that thing, and then it falls apart in front of you. And it's not like, oh man, I didn't win the lottery. It's like, I lost my wife. It's a big deal. So Jodie was kind of cool being like the middle ground between yes, the hunter life, and no, the hunter life. It's like, when it's all said and done, you kind of have to choose. Like, maybe your power will go away if you kind of suppress it and don't really deal with it. Maybe it won't, and you're gonna have to face that. If it doesn't, it's not necessarily, it won't necessarily, be that way. But you don't really know at this point. It could go away, might not. But if you need someone to talk to, here's my card. Kind of join the collective a little. So I thought that was actually kind of funny. I don't think anything will happen to Patience's father or anything like that, but it was just kind of funny. It was like, nope, she's got. It's always like when it's the young female characters, Jodie's in there to be like, yep, I can kind of lead you because I'm super cool. So I love that they actually did that. Kind of at the end where it's like, here's my card, you need to talk. Her and Jodie can hook up and figure some stuff out. So I thought that was great. The story itself I thought was pretty cool. Like I said, aside from Missouri actually being killed, which sucked, them dealing with the wraith, fairly simple. Comes in, he's doing his thing. He's got like an addiction for psychics, which I thought was kind of cool because it made it very unique, and it kind of kept the story driven, because typically that would be like the main story, and it was split, I would say, perfectly down the middle in this episode. Typically the monster of the week is like the big thing, and then the overarching story is like, oh, that that little snippet. But this was like split right down the middle because it dealt with some of the emotional elements that the characters go through. Of course, Dean leaving Sam behind to be with Jack. Dean is facing yet another loss with Missouri, and then that connection of distant family and people being cast off because of the hunter lifestyle, and how that destroyed James's life because he believed in his mother, and how despite that distance between her son and her granddaughter, ultimately Missouri, she knew everything that was going to happen. It was like, okay, well, you go there first and I'll just die, and that's just how it needs to be in order for you to protect my son and granddaughter. So it was definitely cool. It's like little stuff where it's like, oh, Dean has to deal with this even as he tries to leave the issues that he was dealing with because of Jack. So I thought it was cool that they had that for sure. And it was, like I said, typically it would be like most of the episode, it was so streamlined because all he was doing was going for psychics. So it was like he killed this woman, and then he kills Missouri, and then he goes straight for her family. So it was like super streamlined. It wasn't like, oh, we have to, you know, do research and figure out like why he's targeting certain people or where he might hit next. It was like, nope, we know exactly what's happening because, you know, Missouri set it up from the beginning of the episode. So it was very streamlined, and I kind of like that element. It had more to do with the characters involved than catching the monster. It's like these characters most likely will actually return, you know, sometime in the future. So I thought that was actually cool, and like the way they handled it. The other story I thought was really entertaining. Of course, we have Sam doing everything he can to help Jack, and you know, they do their normal thing where it's like, all right, I need to find a solution. You have insane powers. Let's start small. It's like every other show where people have powers. It's like, move this pencil, and of course that's not working because typically, and this is also a big thing in like superhero stuff or anything supernatural based, anger tends to be that first push, and people normally have to move past the anger to just naturally be able to control their power. So that's kind of where Jack is right now, is where he, you know, it's only because of anger or when he's like really being pushed to do something can he actually do it, because he couldn't move the pencil until he finally just picked it up and he jumped, which I thought was cool, as he at least has a bit of control over that. And Sam freaked out. I was like, oh crap, he's gone. So I actually liked that moment. So, you know, he's trying it, and you know, he's just going back and forth because it's like, I want this to work, and Sam, you're super awesome, but Dean said he'd kill me. And it's just like breaking Jack down, and I thought, I was like, man, that's very interesting to think of, because I just assumed it was, you know, the anger thing, which is still a part of it, but it's more, it's kind of mixed in, like once he gets past that element, which who knows if he will anytime soon, considering the way the episode ended, with Sam and Dean arguing about him, and technically, this is something I wanted to point out. Technically, when Dean was like, you don't care about him, you only care if he can help us, Sam didn't say I don't. He didn't say like, that's not wise, just that I want to help him. Technically, he kind of just was like, maybe. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to help Jack or not, kind of make a decision as to whether or not he wants to be with Sam and Dean, or if he wants to kind of go on his own. But that could definitely come up, where he listened to that whole conversation, and Sam was saying everything about how when he was drinking the demon blood and stuff, Dean, of course, you know, didn't kill his own brother, so, you know, if you did that for me, we can both team up and do that for Jack. And then when Dean kind of countered him with all of, you know, the crappy points of why he might, you know, be helping Jack out, and it may or may not be for selfish means, there was nothing else. There's no counterpoint to that counterpoint. It was just like, that may or may not be the truth. So I was like, I don't know if that'll actually affect Jack, but ultimately, once that whole conversation was, you know, kind of said and done, it ended up coming down to Jack thinking about Cass. And who knows where the F-Cass is. I would love for them to make up some new thing. I mean, we have Purgatory. Where else do you go? He's just in a black space, so I don't even know what that means. Maybe something my girlfriend mentions, that maybe he's somehow, like, there's a part of his essence that's actually within Jack, and that's where he is. It's like that consciousness. I don't know if I believe that or not, because I don't know. I guess it's mostly because the way he woke up, it seemed like, oh, he was dead. It wasn't like he just woke up. So I would assume that this is him somewhere else somehow. It'll just be interesting to see what that means, because it's like, he's supposed to be dead. They even did like the full body burning. So once they get to this point, it's almost like, all right, well, if he's gonna come back from wherever, who's to say everyone can't come back? Of course, they could easily say Jack won't bring everyone back, so that's an easy way around that. But it's like, once you introduce that possibility, it's easy to be like, all right, well, now this new thing comes along next season and somehow has, like, you know, it might not have all the powers of Jack, but somehow it has that power to tap into it, or getting cast out of this place will somehow unleash an even greater, darker evil. If they decide not to go with the Asmodeus stuff with him and the creatures I can't think of the name of. But we'll see how all that plays out. But of course, Cass is starting to come back. He's in the promo, so we will get to see at least a little bit of what he's going through. So I'm definitely excited for that. I can't wait to get the explanation on what this new area could possibly be. We have Heaven, Hell, Earth, and Purgatory. I just don't know what else we can really get. I mean, unless he's in a far off part of Heaven. We've had deeper parts of Hell, which they brought up in this season with these new creatures they introduced. So there's that element to it. I don't know if Cass died in the other dimension. I'd be like, okay, maybe Jack is reaching through the other dimension and this is just their version of Hell. It just looks like a black landscape or something. Or even that version of Purgatory is just a jet black landscape, that would be easier because it's like, okay, different dimension, different look, same thing, I can comprehend it better. But this is a whole new location or something, unless he is technically like within Jack in some insane way, shape, or form. But Jack called out to Cass, and he just wakes up in just on this black floor, and that's all we get. So I'm definitely looking forward to some answers. I'm sure we won't get anything conclusive in the next episode, but I would love it if it was just like, boom, here's the name of this crazy new location. I'm sure we won't get all those answers, but here's how we escape. Here's how you can get back in if for whatever reason you need to. But a lot of questions there, naturally, but I'm definitely excited to see what answers we do get in this next episode. I would love for them to go back to the other dimension and we see what's going on with Lucifer and Mary and whatever was happening between Lucifer and Michael, because we never got like a legitimate conclusion to that. So can't wait for them to go back to that for sure. But this is definitely a fun episode. I like the story elements without a doubt, and I'm excited to see where they take things for Jack's character, especially after this moment, between Sam and Dean, where they have this big argument, which was definitely the emotional crux of the episode. Despite everything that happened, I would still say that was the emotional crux, at least for those characters. It got super emotional when the dad was like, they were going through some of those flashbacks of how this family was kind of torn apart by magic. But definitely a good episode, at least that's what I think. Of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. Naturally, we got to see Cass. I'm sure there's some info out there. I never look at any of the info because I don't want to know like anything coming up. But I would love to know your theories on where in the world Cass is. How is he going to escape? Is he in like a third dimension? Is he stuck between dimensions? Which kind of wouldn't make sense, but at the same time, Jack can do like anything. So it's like, sure, if he died and he has this weird connection to, Cass dies and he has a weird connection to Jack, maybe somehow he was flung into like a different place. I don't know. Or this is just where angels go when they die. Technically, that could be something that they do, because that was a big question, like 3 or 4 seasons ago, when the angels were cast out of heaven, and it was like, well, where do you guys go when we do this spell? And that's never technically been answered. So maybe they can answer that, although I think they just get sent away. I don't think they actually die when that happens, unless it's the specific spell. So I don't know. Who knows? But I would love some answers, and I'm definitely waiting on them. But we'd love to know your theories on where in the world Cass is right now. And of course, I want to know what you guys think about this episode in general. So please comment below. Let me know. And thanks for watching.